Hey, what's going on, my friends? This is Matthew Hamill, and I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you 3 secrets, or what I also like to call 3 strategies that I've learned over the past few years when it comes to accomplishing anything in life. Now, since my background is being an entrepreneur, I'm going to focus more so on business, but nonetheless, these principles can be applied to any area of your life. Now, before I get started, I want to take a moment to share with you my foundation for doing anything. And I know right off the bat that I may even get a little flack for sharing this, but to be honest, I think that it will be beneficial to many people watching this video. So, here it goes. I've come across many people who have been able to tap into their true potential as a human being. And for many of them, they attribute this to the New Age concept of the universe. Now, unless you're comfortable with leaving the idea of purpose and fate up to the universe and not exploring the logical implications of such a belief, then so be it. But if you're watching this video, I'm sure that you're open to taking it a bit further. Now, this is not going to be a complex idea, but within its simplicity is elegance. And it will definitely get the wheels of your mind turning if you haven't already come to this conclusion. So, I want you to think about everything that has ever been designed for our use by another human being. For example, the camera that I'm shooting this video with, or the computer or mobile device that you're watching this video on. How about the car you drive, or the home you live in, or the shoes you wear? I mean, all of these things have and serve a purpose. But the interesting thing is that all of these things share a common source of existence, which is the conscious decision of another human being to create or design them with a purpose in mind. It is impossible for any of these things to exist without someone having the vision of purpose. And purpose, by definition, implies and requires design. Now, let's take a look at the next step in this logical sequence, which is that design implies a designer. Nothing has purpose without design, and designs cannot exist without first having someone to design them. So this simply means that there must be a conscious being with the ability and attributes of being creative, ambitious, willful, and many times caring and loving. Now, for you and I, and everyone else on the planet, we experience these beings personally every day, and we call them our family, our friends, our neighbors, co-workers, etc. They are our fellow human beings. Now, here's where we get to the goods. We as human beings have a purpose. Some of us are living to the full potential of our purpose, and some are not. But it still stands that this purpose exists. And if you really only find, and you're really only going to find it when you start taking a closer look into who you are. Now, I'm not going to get into this too much deeper, but with the commonly understood notion that we all have a purpose, it is easy to connect the logical dots to see that we also all have been designed. We can see this design in action when we break a bone or cut a finger and the naturally automated process of healing that takes place. We can also see it when we help someone in need and the rush of excitement and fulfillment that courses through our very being. When we primarily strive to attain things like money, status, mansions, big screen TVs, luxury cars, we tend to fall victim of our own demise, and it is seen in the massive influx of depression throughout the world, but especially here in the United States. But when we're striving for the better good of mankind and living for something greater than ourselves and are actually trying to prescribe the proper solution to the human condition that plagues us all, we tend to feel more alive and fulfilled and living according to our purpose. The former is like trying to drive your car in the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, while the latter has us driving our car in the way in which it was designed, which is to be driven on a paved road, which also, by the way, was designed. Now, I know that that was a mouthful, but I had to share that with you to make this point about our purpose. We as human beings have been designed with a purpose and the idea of proper function in mind. The only conclusion that we can logically come to is that we too have a designer that has consciously made the decision to create us with a purpose in mind. Now, who our creator is something that is often debated around the world, but let me share with you my take on who I believe our creator is and why the attributes that we carry as human beings tend to point back to that creator. Okay, so first, I believe that the creator of mankind is the God of the Bible. Now, hear me out for just a second before you stop this video. Remember what we have already discussed about purpose and design. and that in order for something to be designed, there must be a designer. Now, according to the Bible, God created the universe and everything in it, i.e., He's the ultimate designer. Pretty simple, right? Well, it gets even better than that. The Bible also speaks of us being made in the image and likeness of God. And this is where the crux of the discussion lies. But first, let's compare some of the divine attributes of God recorded in the Bible and what we have seen throughout human history as being human attributes. First, God is a conscious being. So are we. God has a mind. So do we. God has the ability to create any kind of reality He chooses as long as it's in accordance to His nature. We too can create, in a limited sense of course, our own reality here on this earth. God has the power to change people's lives. We have the power to help people and make a difference in their lives as well. Are you starting to see the point? There is so much of who we are and how we ought to function as human beings that can be found within the nature and attributes of God Himself. And this is my first point of this video. Knowing who you are and how you were created to function is the first step towards your success. If you just think that you merely exist without purpose, then your purpose will never be revealed. You need an axiom to stand on, in that you're really not going to make it and be completely fulfilled in your life without first having a rock-solid and indestructible foundation. And it also helps to have a foundation that is true and not something that just makes you feel all nice and warm inside. Now, once we understand the way in which you were designed and the purpose that you have within you, along with all of the tools necessary to make it in this life already being a part of who you are, then your next step is to start taking massive, massive action. You need to be bold in your purpose and start living like you have something of value to offer the marketplace. We all do, but it's just a matter of taking the actions necessary to develop, increase, and offer this value to people that are in need of it. If you're feeling like your soul is being crushed from within your cubicle and that there has got to be more out there, then you're most certainly right. Stop playing the game of being realistic. Continuing to do so will never allow you to break free from the slavery that you've subjected yourself to. Being realistic never really got anybody anywhere, and two of my most favorite examples of people being unrealistic are the late Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. These two gentlemen went against the status quo, never completed college as we've all been conditioned to think that we should, and took the necessary risks to build two of the biggest companies in our modern history. Think about it. If Steve Jobs would have been realistic, we wouldn't have such great devices like the iPhone, the iPad, or even the MacBook Pro that I'll be editing this video with. And if it weren't for Zuckerberg, we wouldn't have the ability to communicate with each other so fluidly and on such a massively global scale. Whatever decisions you make about the action that you'll take has the potential to change your life within a moment. Not a year, not 6 months, not 90 days, not 30 days, not a week, or even a few hours, but in an instant. And once you begin taking action and become accustomed to doing so, it will then be easier to continue building momentum until you finally have reached your goals. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Matthew, how can I stay motivated to take action if I've never gotten the kind of results that I've wanted? It's simple, really. You need to visualize it as though it has already happened. This is part of your ability to design your reality. Everything in the universe was a thought or idea before it ever came into existence, and with those thoughts and ideas came a visualization that was an intangible guideline as to how to bring those things or ideas into existence. Can you build a house without visualizing what a house looks like within your mind? No. You can't even get a freaking blueprint started, without this visualization process. And along with this visualization, you have to believe with certainty that what you are seeing within your mind is already done. It's like getting a pay advance from a record label. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but it's kind of like living like a rock star before you become a rock star. This will give you the motivation to keep fighting for your purpose. And for my third and final point, I want to share a story with you. Back in April of this year, which is 2012, my cousin was killed in a freak motorcycle accident. He left behind a 4-year-old daughter with a second on the way and his wife. It was a devastating blow to the entire family. And now up to this point, I'd been focused on building and designing a lifestyle for my wife and I, constantly learning new things, buying new courses, from some of the best marketers online, attending seminars, etc. I'd been building up my experience for about 18 months before this event took place. And the morning it happened, we dropped everything on the schedule and shot out to LA to be with the family. And with me being who I am and all of the personal development training I'd gone through up until this point, I was able to push beyond the pain and find a way to make sure that his wife and kids were taken care of as much as possible throughout the beginning stages of this process. Now, I've never felt the need to help someone so badly in my entire life, and I knew that I had everything necessary to make it happen. So the next morning, I immediately began working on a website to help generate as much money as possible, to help pay for as many as the upcoming expenses that I could. This was the fastest website I had ever put together, and all I could do was hope and pray that it would be as effective as I saw it being in my mind. Within the first hour of launching the site, it generated $1,000, and it did about $1,000 a day for the next 6 days up until the funeral. We even generated some residual income as well. And I mean, this was my first true experience of putting someone else's needs before my own and actually using the gifts, talents, and abilities that I've been created with to make someone else's life better. Now, nothing will bring my cousin Lloyd back, nor will anything or anyone be able to replace him, but I know that me being in this family, knowing what I know, and taking massive action has definitely helped. And the point I want to make is this: strive to make someone else's life better, easier, more enjoyable, more convenient, and you in return will be able to reap the benefits of being an asset to someone else's life. Whether you benefit mentally, spiritually, or financially, the fact that you've had a truly lasting impact that actually made a difference in at least one person's life will leave you feeling fulfilled beyond measure, and your rate of success will skyrocket. So thanks for taking the time out to watch this video, and that I hope that I've been able to make a difference in your life. Again, this is Matthew Hamill, and God bless.